Students, welcome to the subject Software Engineering. We are in chapter System Models and today's topic is Object Models. Students, this object models you will find it easier because you have studied object oriented programming or object oriented concepts when you have studied C++. Point number 1, object oriented approach to the whole software development process is commonly used. Students, you very well know today more than the any other approach we are working on object oriented approach. So also it is used for software development process. Point number 2, object oriented approach is particularly used for interactive system development. Students, where there is interaction between the user and the system, for such cases object oriented approach is most suitable. Point number 3, it means expressing system requirement using an object model. Second, designing using objects. And third, developing the system in object oriented programming language such as Java or C++. So you have to, in object models, the system requirements should be considered using object model, designing should be carried out with the objects, and you should develop a system in the object oriented language such as Java or C++. Object models. Point number 1, object models developed during requirement analysis may be used to represent both system data and its processing. So students, in the software development, you know that requirement analysis is the first phase where we study the system in detail, identify participating entities. So object models developed during this requirement analysis are used to represent both system data and how that data is processed. Point number 2, they combine some of the uses of data flow and semantic data models. Students, we have considered this data flow model and semantic data models in earlier discussion. So here the two types of concepts are used. One is data flow model and another is semantic data model. Students, we have told you when you are developing a system, single concept is not used. You may combine two or more concepts or two or more models. Point number 3, they are also useful for showing how entities in the system may be classified and composed of other entities. So here it is very easy to, in object models, to represent the main object and its composed entities. Next, point number 1, object models are natural ways for reflecting the real world entities that are manipulated by the system. Students, we have studied earlier that is more than the procedural programs, object models represent real world entities the way they are. This is particularly true when the system processes information about tangible entities such as car, books, aircraft that have clearly identifiable attributes. Students, we have studied in the database management that the entities should be considered whose attributes can be identified. So we can identify the attributes of car as color, made, year, model, like this. Also for the books we can identify the author, publisher, number of pages, like this. Point number 3, developing object models during requirements analysis simplifies the transition to object oriented design and programming. Students, you know, in the system development, out of 3 phases, first phase is analysis, second phase is design, third phase is programming. So if you adopt the concept of object models in requirement analysis, then you can easily go in for object oriented design and object oriented programming. Now we'll consider object models and end users. Students, system is developed for end users. Point number 1. End users of the system often find object models unnatural and difficult to understand. Students, object oriented approach is very good for the software or programmers. Okay, so it is very little difficult for the end user because they all do not belong to computer background. Point number 2. End users prefer to adopt a more functional data processing view. So students, you know that in data processing view or in the functional view, anyone or end user can easily understand how the data is converted from one form to another. So end users find it very easy to understand functional and data processing view. Point number 3. Therefore, it is helpful to supplement object models with data flow models that show end-to-end data processing in the system. Students were earlier considered data flow models, and data flow models are easy to understand because they start from how the data is input into system, how it is processed, and how it is outputted. So it shows end-to-end data processing. Object modeling. Point number 1. In object-oriented requirement analysis, one should model real-world entities using object classes. One should not include details of individual object. So students, that is instantaneous of the class. So students, when you are considering object-oriented requirement analysis, you should model real-world entities using object class concept, not mere object, because classes have properties. Point number 2. You have studied all this when you have studied C++ or object-oriented approach. Point number 2. One may create different types of objects models showing how object classes are related to each other, how objects are aggregated to form other objects, and so on. Students, in a system, 2 or more objects interact. So that is why you have to show how the objects interact with each other. So here, when you are developing or creating different types of objects, you should be able to show how object classes are related to each other and how objects are aggregated from other objects. Point number 3. Each presentation gives unique information about the system. Students, you can develop different models. Each model gives different types of information. UML and object models. Students, you have studied Unified Modeling Language concept earlier. Okay, it is most useful for object-oriented development. Point number 1. Unified Modeling Language has become the standard for object modeling. So students, Unified Modeling Language is contribution of 3. Okay, Rambo, Butch, okay, all these people. So it has formed the basis for object modeling. UML, point number 2. UML includes notations for different types of system models. Point number 3. We have already studied use case model, sequence diagram, and state machine models. Students, in the UML language, there are different notations through which we can express different system models. So already in the previous classes, we have studied use case model, sequence diagram, and state machine models. So this should be very easy for you to understand. Object class in UML. Students, an object class in UML is given in the next slide. So student, there is going to be a next slide where you can see a diagram, okay, which will show you how the objects are represented using UML. Point number 2. It is represented as a vertical oriented rectangle with the 3 sections. In the top section, the name of the object class. In the middle section, the class attributes, and in the lower section, operation associated with the object class. Students, you already studied this concept in object oriented programming. Okay, that is, when you want to represent an object, you should, in a vertical rectangle, there is three sections. First is name of the object, second is its attributes, and the last bottom is how the operations are carried out. For this, you are earlier called as methods. So now we call them as operations. We shall see in the next diagram. So you can see this diagram. Okay, the diagram represents part of the class hierarchy for the library. Students, we have studied earlier libsys system for a university library system where articles are downloaded and the fee is paid. So here you have got objects such as library item, below that we have got published item, recorded item, below the published item we have got book, magazine, and below the recorded item we have got film and computer program. Let us take one object, that is library item. So name of the object class is library item. Then the attributes or that is library item name is in the very top section. In the middle section we have got attributes. What are the attributes? Okay, attributes are nothing but characteristics which gives more information about an object. So catalog number, acquisition date, cost, type, status, number of copies, all these are related to a book item, okay, or any library item. Okay. In the bottom section you have got acquire, various functions or methods such as acquire, catalog, display, issue, return. In this concept of software engineering, these are called as operations. So you can study this diagram in detail. It will be there in PDF also. We will go to the next slide. Types of object models. Point number 1. The three types of object models that we shall consider are: 1. Inheritance model. Second, object aggregation. Third, object behavioral models. So students, there are number of models, but right now we will consider for our portion three models, that is inheritance model, object model and object behavioral model. Inheritance model, it shows how objects can be classified and can inherit attributes and operations from other objects. So students are here we have to learn the concept of inheritance, that is how one object takes the properties from other objects. This you have studied in object oriented approach. Next, object aggregation, it shows how objects are composed. So the name aggregation itself tells what is the composition of the objects, what it consists of. Next model, object behavioral model. This model shows how the various objects interact with each other. So students, today we will introduce ourselves to object models. Okay. In the next class we will study details about inheritance model, object aggregation and object behavioral models. It is very easy for you to understand as you are already aware about the object oriented approach when you have studied object oriented programming in language such as Java. Hope you will understand this. Thank you.